I had to deliver a casket to the hood. A couple years back, I was working part-time at a funeral home up in the Philadelphia area. One day I come in, I was supposed to work a service, so I'm in like a full suit and tie. And they're like, actually, Thomas, we're going to send you on a casket delivery down to West Philly. Sure, West Philadelphia, born and raised, Will Smith, right? Sure, let's do it. I hop in the minivan, and it's really just like, honestly, like it's a mail delivery, except instead of a package, it's a casket. So I have a blacked out van. I throw this casket in and go. And honestly, it was a great gig. Like I loved driving around, listening to music or podcasts or whatever, and dropping off stuff related to the funeral home. Leave it at that. I'm driving down to West Philly, and as I get off, you just notice it's rough. Like it's a rough area. I'm like, okay, whatever. Just keep driving. And mind you, I'm paper white, and this is purely an appearance standpoint. It has nothing to do with race, besides the fact that like if you're the only person of your race in the area, you're gonna notice. That's just human nature, and it doesn't mean anything other than an appearance. It's just like being underdressed for something. Like you show up, you don't fit in with the crowd, and you're like, oh shit, I don't fit in with the crowd, and the crowd notices, and you notice. It doesn't mean it gets acknowledged. It doesn't mean it's anything deeper than the fact that you just look different than everybody else there. That's just what the situation was. About probably like 5-10 minutes from the funeral home, and there's two small orange cones in the road. We're on a 2-lane road. It's like a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes one way, 2 lane the other. I'm on the far I'm on, I'm on the far right by all the parallel parked cars, and there's a little Scion driving in front of me, and everyone's driving probably 40, 50, and it's decent traffic. And as we were driving around the corner, I would have done the same thing, because it's just 2 small cones. It doesn't look like it's blocking anything. There's clearly 2 cones in the road. Don't know why. So this Scion's in front of me, and I'm kind of half paying attention. I'm more like looking around, listening to music. I'm like, I have no idea where I am, and my GPS wasn't really working. So I'm like, man, I hope I'm able to find this funeral home. And all of a sudden, the Scion in front of me, whoom, and the whole front end of the car just goes in the ground. The tires are sticking up in the air. The back half of the car is sticking up in the air. And I'm like, holy shit, I have to swerve out of the way, swerve back. I'm like making sure the casket's not dinged up. And I'm like, oh my God, I was going to stop. So I start to slow down because I'm going to see if this person's okay. All the fucking cars behind me are honking their horns, they're whipping around me. What the fuck are you doing? I'm like, okay, I'll just keep driving. And that was the biggest adjustment, driving in the city versus driving in the country. Like in the country, man, someone could pull over for a flat tire and be completely fine, and you might even pull out and just check on them or see if they need help. In the city, man, you could witness the worst accident in the world, and everyone's like, fuck them, keep driving, and you're just like, holy shit, this is fucking wild. So that was an adjustment for me when I was working up there. But I pull up to a 4-way intersection, I see the funeral home. There's nowhere for me to actually pull in. The funeral home doesn't have a parking lot. It's all street parking. And the one spot where I was supposed to drop the casket off, they've got this big, it was actually a badass. It was a purple Escalade hearse, pimped out, blacked out with the big chrome rims. I'm like, okay, that's kind of tough. And I loop around, and there's all kinds of people on the street. People are listening to music, hanging out. I pull up, loop around in my minivan, throw the flashers on them in street parking. I hop out, and you should have seen the looks that these guys are giving me. And this old black guy comes out of the funeral home, and he's like, who sent you down here, son? I was like, I mean, my boss, I don't know what you want me to say. And he's just like shaking his head. He's like, let's go. I'm like, yeah, I'm just here to drop off the casket. He's like, I know. I'm like, all right, cool. And the funniest part about it is the street's hopping. There's probably like 15, 20 people out. Man, as soon as I pull this casket out, everybody gone. They're not within 20 feet of us. They're all take off out of there. and even the old man starts laughing. He's like, man, this shit gives everyone the heebie-jeebies. So it was just a hilarious experience. And the best part was, again, they have the hearse pulled up in front of where I'm supposed to bring the casket in. So there's no way for us to go on the sidewalk. We're wheeling this casket down a busy-ass 4-lane road, man. And the funny thing is, we're the only ones who know it's empty, right? So, hell, I can't imagine what people are thinking as they're driving by. We have cars like evading. We have cars pulling evasive maneuvers to get out of the way. We're just walking down the street, wheeling this casket down, and then we got, and it barely fit. I think we actually hit the hearse twice. The dope-looking purple hearse, putting the casket in the garage. So that was a hell of an experience, man. And that's one thing I have to get it off my chest because, like, and a lot of people are gonna say, like, as a white person, I probably have no space to speak on this, but like, I do think it's crazy we're such a race sensitive society right now, especially in the United States. And it's like the reality of America is we're a melting pot. You're gonna have different cultures and sections of our country where it's predominantly certain races, religion, whatever. And I think it's just one of those things. We all have to be comfortable being out of place at times. We have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, it's the reality of it. I'm sure there's plenty of times where everyone, regardless of your race, skin color, gender, whatever, that you've been in a situation where you're the only one there that's like you and you feel a little uncomfortable at first. But once you start talking to people and you realize everybody's a person like you, trying to get by, trying to pay their bills, trying to live their dream, then everybody's really the same. And sure, there might be some different cultural backgrounds and ways that we were raised and brought up, but that's every human being in the world. Every family household in the United States of America is different. So for me, I think what really bothers me about the racism thing, and again, maybe I see it differently because I'm a white kid, right? But I think what really bothers me the most is like, there's all this division that's put down on the American people. Like, you need to hate this person for their color or their religion. And it's like, no, like, we all bleed red, white, and blue at the end of the day. We're all living in this country. I don't see the point in trying to create hate and division in the world. The day that we all stop pointing out that a person is white or black or Asian or Hispanic or Catholic or atheist or whatever, or Republican or Democrat, the day that that stuff goes away and we're able just to recognize we might have different opinions, we might be very different human beings, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans, we all are equal here on this soil. That's the day that we really are able to put all that other shit aside. And again, I've said it on here before, I can't help but think that some of this division is intentionally put out there to keep the American people divided so the people up in power can continue to be up in power. And they like it that way. They like to make us feel like we should always be fighting and that we're not good enough and that we're not worth being what we dream about being. And to me, that's fucked up. And we should fight that by being everything that we dream of being, regardless of your race, your background, your financial status, whatever it is. So it's just my thoughts. It's just my 2 cents on that. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, but if we continue to harp on it and act like everybody has to hate each other because of their different colors or religions or beliefs, like that's just going to continue to make it worse. So it could have been a totally inaccurate description, but that's my description of it. So talks of time.
Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more. I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get easier? I'll be up and away up the street and big, but I can't even breathe no more. What's it to me? What can I see? Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more.
Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.